Good morning and welcome to Race Industry Now, the technical and business webinar series from ePartrade. I am Francisque Savignan, the founder and CEO, and with me this morning will be Judy King. I'll see Judy getting on, and Jeff Hammond. Good morning, Jeff. How are you today?
Good morning, Francis. How about you? You doing good out there in California?
Absolutely, absolutely. We are delighted. Today we have a double feature. So first, we're going to be talking engine management system with the great people from FuelTech. And then at 10 o'clock, our good friends from racer.com, Marshall Pruitt, will be joining us. And we have a special on the Indy 500. And Marshall and Paul Fanner have assembled a panel of great, great people, Sebastian Bourdais, Colton Herta, Dave First from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So we're delighted to have that special, section with Racer. Good morning, Judy. How are you?
Good morning, Francisque and Jeff.
Good morning.
Well, I just want to say thank you, a huge thank you, Jeff Hammond, and to Brad Gilley for speaking about us last night on your show on the late shift. And honestly, I got up this morning, we had so much registration. Companies I've reached out to, and they're finally just jumping on board. So thank you.
I mean, that's great news. And I don't know, maybe it's fitting that this is Memorial Day weekend, big races around the world. The racing industry is thriving, and ePartrade's right there in amongst all of that. So I think it's just a sign that racing is back and the fans are back. And I think that's something that should be very comforting to all of us who make a living and love the sport of auto racing.
Absolutely. Very well said, Jeff. Thank you very much. It's an honor to have you and Brad Gilley as host every week. So I'm getting a signal from our producer, Reed Keneski, who is going to be bringing Luis De Leon from FuelTech. Now, FuelTech is a company I have known for about 15 years from my old days at PRI, and it started in Brazil. And I have seen them coming to the US market and do incredibly well. In the last 5 and 10 years, they have basically brought new technology, a wonderful product, a terrific team. I've been trying to get them on the tech webinar earlier on, but we couldn't make it work, and we finally can make it work. So Luis is with us. Good morning, Luis.
Good morning, guys.
Okay, excellent. So Mr. Jeff Hammond, we're going to leave you in charge, and you guys are going to be on for the next 55 minutes.
Well, thank you, Francis, and good morning, Luis. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, and thank you, Francis, for the opportunity in ePartrade over here. I really hope we can go over a little bit of cool stuff on the electronic side, right? So the management side of motorsports and mainly engines, right?
Well, the cool thing about it is, and I will defer to you really quickly because that's way above my head. I love the technology that your company and companies like yours have brought into the sport, whether it's NASCAR, whether it's IndyCar, whether it's just, the everyday guy who wants to, work on his vehicle and make it go a little quicker and sound a little bit better. You guys are very much innovative. I've been doing a little research on your company. And like I say, Francis says he's known you about your company, for the last 15 years from down in Brazil. I believe you've been in Georgia for the last 6 years. And like I say, you're doing a lot of exciting things. You guys never seem to stand still. Again, on your website, if everybody wants to check this company out, you need to do it. Y'all have got some incredible vignettes, I call them. There's little things about what you've been testing and what you've been working on. So let's get started and tell us about FuelTech, and I'm gonna let you take the bull by the horns. You lead, and I'll ask dumb questions along the way, and you can give us intelligent answers.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. First of all, there's no dumb questions, right? Like dumb is not to make a question. So like it's really important to have that back and forth, and we try to interact on a way that we can make sure that we can explain everything regarding FuelTech. And just like you said, this new generation of racing, motorsports, or just enthusiasts that go over race cars, race bikes, race boats, race tractors, airplanes, whatever may have either a motor or an engine, since we're going towards that electric generation, right? So it doesn't matter which one it is, but where we have some kind of heart that's not an animal, but is propelling something towards the speed, right? Acceleration. So FuelTech's a Brazilian brand. We have almost 20 years now. And we always started with the same, keeping the same concept that we carry to today. Anderson Dick found the company back in Brazil, on the very south side of Brazil, with one goal. Why you need to have some kind of magic black box that would manipulate your engine, right? So back in the day, it was just like an engine management system. Why you need that? Why? Because think about 20 years ago, it was like the big blow up on cell phones, right? Why can't you have something that is more like a handheld and something that you can interact easier? Why you need a laptop to interact with your car, right? Why you need more tools since you could have that too. And just using as a quick example, this is one of our ECUs, right? The FT600. And this unit, it's not much larger than a cell phone. For sure, it is bigger, it is a little bit heavier, because it carries stuff that a cell phone does not have to carry. So this unit has ways to be your dashboard, your data logger device, your fuel management, your timing management, your traction control, your transmission control. So many features, so many items that they used to be black boxes, separate, that wouldn't talk and it wouldn't record anything, and you still would need some kind of computer to interact. So this is pretty much FuelTech core. Have some kind of electronic that's easy to use, easy to reach on your reach, like inside the car or taking outside the car and working at your desk using the USB to power up the unit. You don't need a power supply, your computer do that. And making you more available to work on the car, to understand the car, not to work on the electronics. The electronics are tools, right? So FuelTech try to make electronics that takes less time to analyze data, to change the tune-up, to manipulate power, so you can actually pay more attention to the driving, to the track, to the weather condition, because all of that in the end is what matters. The tools, you just want to make sure that they do what they should be doing, and you just want to tell the tool, do this if this happens, and that's about it. So we try to streamline the whole process of about showing the data for the driver, recording the data for the tuner, and making it quicker to analyze and implement any changes for a future run, a future pass, or if it is a street-able vehicle, oh, I just want to change slightly power management here, make it more docile to drive around. I want to have a valet modes because I'm just about to drop to a restaurant and I don't want the guy to fooling off my 1,000 horsepower vehicle. All that stuff we try to do like on your reach. Like the ECU carry 4 tunes on it that you can change with your fingers. You don't need to have something to change it. And that makes it easier. Like what I want to do right now, is the track better? Can we try to push it? Yeah, a couple clicks and you can have a different tune-up that's a little bit more aggressive. Oh, the track's not that good. Couple clicks take power away. I'm doing a road race. It's raining. Change the behavior on your traction control. All that stuff. So like on some words, that's what I was thinking that FuelTech is. A company that tries to make electronics not a challenge, but a simple tool to be used by anyone that wants to have high performance.
Luis, you're making my brain kind of want to short circuit to a certain degree, because I'm sitting here listening to you and I realized you mentioned the fact that, it's not like an animal. It doesn't have a heart, but we have the engines and everything in there. Those are the hearts of these race cars. and trucks and tractors, everything you mentioned. What they need is they need that brain. And to me, that's what you guys are developing and continue to develop, is a simplistic way to interface, interact with that heart under the hood,
Yes.
and make it get the best performance out of it. And what also I love about it is what you were alluding to, with so many of these race series, in particular, even NASCAR and a lot of short tracks, they're eliminating practice. So we don't have a lot of time to do tuning and go through this and separate driver input with tuner input. We need it all, and we need it now. And your products, from what I've been able to understand and read about, they allow you to do that in different levels. And I think it's just fantastic. And, you know, I don't know if you're noticing this or not, but we're getting a lot of questions already from our attendees, and I don't want to ignore them right on the get-go. Someone from down in Brazil is already online saying good morning from Brazil. We've also got an email that came in from, I believe, United Arab Emirates, and they're wanting to know about, is there a plan to utilize, and this is some lingo that I'm not familiar with, CAN bus communication between other vendor products and OEM to FuelTech with a more handy software interface?
Yes, yes. So like that's actually a pretty good question. Like nowadays, there's different communications, right? So like we used to be like the older black boxes. We only have like some wires going left and right, and they would be like either a voltage, either a pulse, or something like that. We are on a generation that's not the only way to communicate between products, right? So the question that he just did about CAN bus. So CAN bus, it's a protocol where you digitally make two products talk. That allows more stuff through a single wire, and sometimes quicker, sometimes more information through the same stuff on the same equipment. And yes, we already use CAN bus communications to communicate through some of our products, and we do read some of different protocols, because the CAN bus can have different languages, right? So let's try to do a quick analogy. The CAN bus itself will be like just a mouth. It's just talking, but you can have Portuguese, you can have English, you can have Spanish. So you need to understand those somewhat different languages. So if you connect FuelTech ECU to a Dodge or to a Chevrolet, they will have different words that would mean the same stuff, like engine RPM. And nowadays, we already can read some of those, not all, but we do have plans on expanding how many different products from different brands or different vehicles can the ECU gather information that you can literally use two wires. That's how CAN communication works, CAN high, CAN low, to obtain that stream of data that wouldn't require you to wire 10, 15, 20, 30 wires. So it simplifies communication. And not just that, we also try to be on top of all new technologies. And we also proceeding towards newer protocols like the SENT protocol, that's supposedly quicker, faster, can gather more information at the same time, and more likely we will slowly replace CAN bus. So we've been working on different stuff, including CAN bus and SENT.
Okay, well, Jill Lund would like to know, do you offer any type of pitch or yaw sensor interface for the software and wiring harness applications?
Yeah, so like today we have different products, like products when I mean like modules, okay? So electronic modules that they will do something specific, manage something, read a sensor, or data log, some kind of input that you can retrieve to. But we also have harnesses from the very start, that just like a connector kit, where you can do your own harness from the very scratch, no wire, just pins and connectors, or what we call blank harnesses, where you have flying leads long enough to reach where you want, and you just cut the length and put your pins and your connectors on the end. And we also have, well, we try to go towards a plug and play solution, but it's not exactly a plug and play solution where you just connect one cable and it runs. Race vehicles and high performance vehicles, they do have like so many small details here and there that we try to not assume that this will be like a complete plug and play solution, but a way that you could, in couple hours, maybe half a day to a day, do a complete install. So that's why we call like a complete harness. We have different levels, like the pro harness that have materials that are better for fire and chemicals. So we do have different levels, and we also have as planned to expand that line. So it makes even easier for the user to try to do an install on a quicker way. And for some applications, it's really important to have spares. So to have a spare harness would streamline their process of maintenance, or on an accident or something that may happen on a track, a small fire, a huge oil leak that you need to replace wire. It would make it much easier if you could have like a spare part of the harness or a spare whole harness.
Okay, so that kind of goes to one of our next questions from one of our attendees, is the application for multi-stage rallies in extreme environments like Dakar, or like what we saw even in the NASCAR race this past weekend with heavy rains and everything. Is yeah, I'm sure you guys, and I think you're addressing that right now. Your harnesses are made to be able to withstand a lot of stuff.
Yes. So like not just the harness, like the units, and we going towards the trend. Not all, but most of the units, and the most important of the units, they are already IP67 rated or similar. So they will be waterproof, dust-proof. They are tested and intend to be used on harsh environments that are hot, under the sun, under extreme vibrations, under incredible high accelerations. So the G meter, for example, that we use on the unit, it is a G meter that is tested, proven on vehicles that can pull over 4 Gs on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. So it's not like a G meter that you have on your cell phone, that if you try to put in a race vehicle, it has so much smoothness that you actually don't see exactly what's going on, or you miss the beat on a small nuance that would show something, because it actually happened, but that sensor wasn't intended to be used on that harsh environment. So we do that on our products. Harnesses wise is the same way. The only thing that we do not carry today, the motorsport aim, like the higher level motorsport like NASCAR, they actually have harness that are completely developed for that application on smaller batches. There is no 500, 1,000, 2,000 NASCAR vehicles. There are a handful, there are 2 handfuls. There are some spares, there's a couple seasons, they're older vehicles, but we always try to manufacture something that we can work around higher volumes as a company, so it can justify all the engineering that goes behind that. The good thing is we have so many partners that are specialized on doing custom equipment and custom harness, that we can easily steer if someone needs a specific application for a low volume. Like I have a rally team that I have 2, 3, 4 cars. We will have a solution, not on our shelf, but on our database of dealers and partners that would be able to go to your shop or get the cars to their shop and do exactly what they need on a proper time frame that usually a larger company would take either more time or would cost way more to do on such a small batch.
Okay. We're getting a lot more people wanting to, say good morning to you. Mark Moore from calling you from, see where come on now. We get so many questions right now, they're running off the page on me.
And this is something that I personally really please about FuelTech and FuelTech USA and FuelTech Brazil. The way that we handle things and the way that we naturally do things. Anderson mostly in Brazil, me mostly here in the United States, we try to divide what we do. We actually create relationships with the customers because we are car guys. Like I personally race, I personally have my toys, I personally like to wrench stuff, I like to wire stuff on my own. So we are really a close relate people to a regular, the average customer that does that on the weekend as a work on a daily basis. It doesn't matter. Like we get as happy for a day to win a race as we would be right there winning a race, because that's something that we know that we were slightly involved that thing, either doing the product or making sure that they would understand how to use the product. But we also would like to be there as a racer. Like we go watch races, you know, like we go and try to help sanction bodies doing sponsorships here and there, so the customers do have venues to race and stuff like that, and that creates that close relationship with the customers.
All right, like I said before, I'm gonna get caught up here real quick. Mark Moore, he says morning from Trinidad and Tobago. And is there any chance of not control for street car purpose? And I'm gonna hold right here and say one more thing. Miles Rieger, he would like to know, does FuelTech make components for motorcycle and power sports applications? So 2 questions.
Okay, so knock control, yes, we did have knock control back in the past, like maybe 2, 3, 4, or 5 years ago, and we actually saw a trend going down of the need of knock control. So that doesn't mean that knock control is not useful. It is, but it's useful mostly on a situation that you don't have a heavily modified engine. As you get heavier springs, as you need to use bigger piston to wall clearance, as you have more boost, as you rev the motor higher, as you use some different fuels than regular pump gas, the knock management doesn't work as well or is not as reliable. And that's why we slowly steered away from it, because the level of usage wasn't that high. But we for sure do have plans on not far from now to try to reincorporate that for some applications that do still see the need and would help. Lower power stuff, slightly modified vehicles, gasoline, mostly pump gas applications. Those vehicles for sure would see some benefit of having knock control, and we do have something on the works. About ATVs and motorcycles, yes. As I showed you before, this is the 600. This is our top of the line unit, but we also carry 2 other ECUs on our product line, the FT550 and the FT450. And the FT450 was actually pretty much designed around the usage on a smaller motor and a lighter weight package. The unit, it's made on a polymer. The make is really light. It's steel IP67, so waterproof, so you can use on your jet ski, for example. And it has the inputs and outputs that work perfectly for a small motor up to 4-cylinder, like a motorcycle, 2-cylinder, 4-cylinder. And we actually have a lot of customers back in Brazil using on small motorcycles, like 1-cylinder, some ATVs. And here in US, we even have like Top Fuel Harley using our products. So as you can see, even on smaller and motorcycles, we still can have that reach within Top Fuel Harley, pretty much the top of the top, the most horsepower you would see on a motorcycle, all the way down to 120 cc's or 50 cc's single cylinder motorcycle.
Okay. Rich Tomei, he'd like to know what happens if and when you reset the ECU, and what are the advantages of doing a reset?
Okay, so like resetting ECU, there's no actually a proper goal out of the blue. Like, let me reset the ECU to, you know, free up some space. You don't have to. Like the ECU is smart enough to only use what it needs to use regarding the features that you have. But the thing is, you can lock your ECU. You can put like passwords and stuff, so the car wouldn't even crank without a password. You can have passwords that only block the tune or part of the tune or the whole thing. Then resetting the ECU can be the only way to retrieve ECU that lock, and you don't know how you unlock. Like, I forgot the tune. I bought a vehicle from someone else and he locked the tune out. I can only crank, but I want to change my tune up. So on that case, resetting the ECU will be useful, because the unit go back to blank and then you can do something.
You're making my head spin. You really are.
I'm sorry.
No. I mean, I love the fact that, like I say, you're, and don't take this the wrong way, you're not just a geek. I mean, a computer geek. You're a gearhead computer geek. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know this stuff inside and out as far as electronics are concerned, which is as I said earlier, it's the brain of what we are trying to make run. And an engine in the car, the truck, tractor, it don't make any difference. And then you got the guys that are, that have got the oil and the grit under their fingernails, but you're a blend of both. Again, like I say, it's not that you can't understand and relate to a driver or to a crew chief or to a team engineer that's trying to deal through this stuff. And I'm so envious of the fact that, it's like I'm talking to a human engineer and computer at the same time, and you're spitting out all the answers for everything. It's cool. It's super cool. So, when I'm sitting here and I'm want to make improvements in my fuel injection, in my ECU and everything like that, can I call you up and ask questions like that so I know I'm getting the right, whether it's the 600 or the 550 or the 450, the right application for what I own and what I want to improve?
Yes, 100%. This company grew based on tech support. Like not just the product can deliver the performance that you want, but we support the product that we sell. We stand behind no matter what. So the product being developed across the years, since the very first unit until the 600, based on racers' requests. Like what we do is not what we think is the best for the customer. It's what the customer actually wants. So following that principle, we have as tech support pretty much the largest group inside FuelTech, and they can provide tech support. I'm going to say it's almost 24 hours company-wise, because we have offices in Brazil, United States, and Australia. So we pretty much, they overlap each other. If there's an emergency, we can keep helping people around, right? And we have group of people that they actually race either as a hobby, either professional. So they know what they're saying. They know what they're talking about. And one thing that we start here in the United States is actually we have advanced factory training, where we have an in-house dyno as a hub dyno from mainline that actually can hold pretty much any kind of power. And it doesn't matter if you have a road racing vehicle, a street vehicle, or drag racing vehicle. The dyno can be used for anything, because you can shift, you can downshift, you can do whatever on the dyno, since there is no tire slippage. And on this way, it's not a tune shop. You don't call us and like, oh, can I book an appointment to tune my car? We don't do that. The whole plan is, can you book an appointment to teach me how to use my stuff? Yes, we do. So we can have all that experience and knowledge that we hold regarding the electronics and the race cars, and try to share a little bit of that we know from the whole motorsports environment towards your race application or your street car. It doesn't matter. It can be 200 horses, it can be 5,000 horses. There's no difference. How can it crank quicker? How can I blend between 85 and gasoline? How can I apply 6 stages of nitrous? How can I run my screw blower to 12,000 RPM? It does not matter. Like, we're here to try to assist to all the extents that the knowledge that we hold. And we're going to be honest, we're going to help until we can do it, because we're not professional tuners. And we also have, just like on the wiring side of things, we have great people that support FuelTech as a profession, being professional tuners. And those guys, we can easily put together, like someone can call us and we can help to crank the car, to put a base tune up so the car spools if a turbo car, free revs nice if it's naturally aspirated, but he needs someone to help him at the track. We can find someone to go to the track that's not inside FuelTech, it's a partner. That guy works for a living, making sure that the car can perform. And that guy will be hundreds of times better than us to tell how to do it, because he wins championships. He races on a daily basis, right? And that's where we try to go. So as much as we can help, we will help. Where we cannot anymore, we will have someone that we can steer you towards to keep progressing, either just to keep teaching and you can go on your own, or to become part of your team.
Okay, I got a gentleman named Antonio Tavares. He'd like to know, and I would like to know, because this kind of gets more into my wheelhouse, diesel application, because I got a diesel truck and I like to have it where I can tune it up when I'm just wanting to cruise down the road and save a little bit of fuel. But at the same time, when I need to pull, I want to detune it, but yet, and not, overwork everything. So when will you guys, are you going to have anything as far as in the diesel area anytime in the future?
Yes, so like diesel have a pretty close relationship with direct injection for gasoline motors, and we have been doing phenomenal progress on the direct injection. So more likely you guys gonna see something regarding direct injection first for regular gasoline motors, and not much later from that you guys gonna see something regarding diesel. So for sure we will be releasing some stuff as on our product roadmap. We always have products to be released on about 2-3 months span. So different products for different applications. We always try to keep the ball rolling, right? And for sure, diesel and direct injection are within those.
Well, with this figure, if you're into tractor pulling, according to what I was able to read and see that you guys have some involvement in that. I would say figuring out what it needs to go on my Duramax is not going to be that hard to do.
Yes. And we actually have a Duramax in house, so that tells you something.
Okay. That means that when you get it right, it's going to be perfect.
Yes. Like that's something that we work really hard to get it. Like not to have something that's halfway through, something that actually you can apply and go out there and perform.
All right, well, let's just get back to what we were talking about a little bit earlier and about, FuelTech as a whole. What I want to go back to the hub dyno, training that you just brought up. That fascinates me because again, especially when I see that you have the ability, and I think it was a C8 Corvette, and you're doing hub wheel horsepower, over 1,000 wheel horsepower. I mean, it's like, wow. I mean, and you're able to do it, and it looks like it's so simple that, and you say everybody can learn how to do it.
Yes. So like for example, the CA application, that's one of our in-house vehicles that we do a bunch of research and development into it. Like we trying to have on a way on the dyno, right? Like a safe environment, because like let's all be honest, like we all like like fuel the pool and do stuff like that, but like you cannot do that on the street. So like what we try to do is like we have a safe environment to have vehicles here where we can try to test stuff. It doesn't matter if it's just like standing still to an RPM or trying to go through gears or manipulating boost or manipulating nitrous, right? So the dyno is a huge tool that allows us to progress quicker. So we don't need to spend 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 hours on the day going back and forth from the track and maybe bum out because it starts to rain, right? So like we can take all those small variables that actually make a huge on the whole pile, weather, suspension, tires, away from the equation, and we can focus transmission, fuel, timing, and any other the solenoids that we're trying to do. So for example, not long ago, we developed a transmission control for older style transmissions that have the solenoids inside but electronics outside, like for L80s, for L60s, for our 70s, transmissions that people use on hot rods and some racing and street cars. It's really hard to go out there and try to make sure if things shifts, right? And does it shift on the load? Does it shift uphill? Like it's something hard to be done. The dyno allows you to do it right here. You can simulate different loads. You can simulate different stuff. So like on that C8 example, we manipulate port injection over direct injection plus throttle body control plus transmission shifting. There's a bunch of details, and it's pretty tough to do that on the street or go to the track to do it, right? So like the dyno allows us to progress quicker when we developing stuff.
Now, with your project, and again, I'm glad, kind of brought it up, the C8 project that you've been working on. You established, I guess, the wheel horsepower, I should say. And then you go to the drag strip and you guys start going through the process of chasing all of what you've already talked about, how the ECU helps with the shifting and everything, the whole 9 yards. I mean, you guys started and were trying to get into the 9-second bracket, which you were able to accomplish. And Anderson Dick did a great job, you know, of doing what he needed to do behind the wheel. But I was fascinated by your little vignette, how it all worked out, because you could see some of the changes, how it was good, and you could hear it. And then you would also see some of the changes that you were made that didn't work. And you had to go back or, you know, change it a little bit as far as the shift's concerned, because it was shifting too hard. You know what I'm saying? It was incredible, but yet you were able to accomplish everything you set out, including the ability to intermix nitrous into it along the way. I mean, I'm just, that whole project is to me, it's fascinating.
Yeah, like, and I'm personally really happy about this deal because, like, again, we love what we do, right? So, like, as car enthusiasts, right? Not just like professionals on the area, but like we really like and enjoy older vehicles or unique vehicles or just brand new release. Like, I was really pleased personally to see my business mentor Anderson, and I could kind of mentor him into driving. That was like a personal deal that was really a pleasure to be part of it. And along the way, we were having the C8, that's a completely new platform, but people will try to increase the performance. They buy that thing from Chevy, but they want to go to the track on the weekend and be quicker than a C7 that maybe your neighbor has turbos on it on a bigger blower. So you need to be able to do that. But like newer vehicles have so advanced electronics that's hard to simply change what they have. And on this vehicle, we did a different approach. Let's not change what the car is trying to do. Let's just to go around what we want to behave differently. And whatever we feel like that the car is doing great, leave the car by doing on its own, and that's fine. And we go around and when you manipulate what we're trying to do. So a stock Corvette cannot manipulate huge amounts of boost or nitrous, but we can. So why not that part we leave for the FuelTech ECU? The other basic stuff we leave for the OEM ECU, and now you have a car that, you know, you trail to the track and you go over there and you make some laps. Just like you see, the car was running like 9 seconds on the quarter, like bracket racing, like one after another, you know, just like was a brand new vehicle bought like that.
Well, we've been talking a lot about what FuelTech can do, and I think we'd be remiss if we don't take a moment and look at this wonderful statement from Gary Lucas. And it says this, Luis: "It was great to have met you at Bradenton earlier this year, and also appreciate your expertise and advice at the track. Robots Done Right team. To be honest, I was a little bit overwhelmed about the flying lead wiring harness. However, the diagrams provided in the book, along with a few quick call to the FuelTech helpline, which everyone I talked with was helpful and very knowledgeable. I have to say, it was not bad at all. Our change over to FuelTech this year was easier than I expected and didn't skip a beat. Currently in second place with one more position to go. Having onboard reaction time practice tree built right into the FT600 is a true testament that your team has thought about everything. So I think that gentleman right there, Gary, really appreciate, you know, him taking time to send this and be a part of our attendee today. And everybody out there listening, I think that kind of like, you know, sums it all up about what you're trying to share with us with one customer, kind of like touching all the bases.
Yeah, thank you, Gary, for that. Like, and you can see on my smile, like we happy when people actually are doing great on their projects. You know, like that's what we're here for, right? And that's really cool that he brought up that, because that was an idea from a racer. Why the ECU that has like such a nice display beauty, why the ECU cannot have like a practice tree that you actually look, how cool is that? Like you can simulate, can simulate your lead. So like, and we had so many people that actually after practicing inside the car, ready to go, they on the staging lanes waiting for their turn. They have all the equipment on, they're ready to go. That's that moment. Why they'll be just sitting around and getting nervous and talking to people about something random? why they can't just like, okay, let me focus on this. Let me kind of warm up my brain to the reaction. And we saw so many people improving and getting the feedback to us, right? And something that was simple. It was just like, that's not hard to be done. Let's put like some timers on the screen and simulates a tree and drop the light. The guy can play with the rollout and he can choose full tree or pro tree. Boom, a couple calls like, and I must really say something about this. The engineering team on FuelTech, it's unbelievable. We have some people works on United States on the development team, but the 99% of coding and board development and stuff, it's made in-house back in Brazil. And that team, it's unbelievable. We have guys that are with us since the very beginning, almost 2 decades into this. And they all highly skilled, high knowledgeable. And the same thing, they share that passion of doing the best product as easy as possible for the user to use.
You mentioned here in the US, and we know that y'all do a lot of manufacturing still, I guess, out of Brazil. How does that work? I mean, do y'all have, what is the difference between your place in Georgia and Brazil, the products that are made in Brazil?
So expanding to the United States was a dream, right, for the company. Like, we know that motorsports wise, this is the best place to be. It does not matter what kind of class. It may have some kind of unique class somewhere else that's larger there than the United States. But besides that, most of racing, it is larger and more developed in the United States. So we wanted to come here. But we also understand it's not easy. Like the competition it's fierceful. And there's so many options to buy right there straight away. You can call a shop, you can go online, you can buy so much stuff. So like we made our homework trying to understand what the US market wanted. And we spent some time doing that and creating a plan how to expand towards the United States. So about 6 years ago, like you said, me and 2 other guys, me from Brazil and a couple Americans, we joined our forces to start the office on the United States just to try to do support and sales, right? Because that's pretty much what we need. Everything else was being handled in Brazil. During those 6 years, we expand our operation from 3 guys to almost 30 here in the United States. And in Brazil, we are past 130, doing all the manufacturing, developing, sales, and they even do tech support for here, because we do have like an internship program where we can bring people from Brazil to here for about 2-3 months to learn how the market is, and then they go back as a better employee back in Brazil, and they still can have people here. And we do have plans on keeping that expansion towards a way that we also manufacture in the United States. It's part of the process, right? So being able to have more support, being able to have more sales, being able to have more inventory. And as there is a point where it doesn't make much sense to just keep bringing stuff, why not manufacturing here? So we also have plans on expanding towards that direction.
Well, I think Carlos must be listening down in Brazil, because he says FuelTech is a pride for us gearhead Brazilians too. So I think that's great. Real quick, Franciscus just reminded me to remind you that during our quick rehearsal, you showed me some data on your computer. Would you like to share that with us and the audience and explain a little bit about it?
Yeah, for sure. Like I can do like a quick brief review of the software just so you guys can have an idea. As I showed, this is one of the ECUs. You have connectors here. It has a built-in manifold pressure sensor, so you don't need to buy that. And it's really reliable, high boost. You can run like 90 pounds of boost straight there. Touch screen, right? So the unit has touch screen. You can do everything right on the screen. Makes it really easy. But data logging and some small setup, or just because it's a bigger screen, you actually can do on your laptop or on your desk computer, doesn't matter. So I'm gonna share over here really quick. This is our software. So it's called the FT Manager. Right. And as you guys can see, this is just like a field table, right? On this example, I'm just showing you like a naturally aspirated motor that runs with nitros down the track, drag racing application. you can try to show stuff on different ways. So we don't try to make it mandatory for the user to do in our way. So like right now, I can see a tune that's TPS based, and you can choose manifold pressure or TPS, so speed, density, or alpha N. And you also can change from milliseconds based right now to VE related, or you can change to injector duty cycle, or you can change to fuel flow. So if you like to change based on fuel flow because it correlates better with power delivery, you can do right there. If you want to see how much injector use, duty cycle you have, right there. If you want to see milliseconds because you want to see the pulse width, they all correlated. So you can choose how you want to do it. And this is just like the tip of the iceberg. So it's so many features and stuff that I'm not going to go over all. I'm just going to go a quick glimpse of the software. So all sections are divided by color, like fuel tables. You can see this blue, ignition tables are yellow, other functions green, drag race features red, engine settings orange, lighter, darker orange sensors and calibration, another green for interface settings. So like, oh, I want to change my shift light points on the ECU right there. I want to do per gear. I want to do shift lights per gear. Pretty simple. My dashboard. Oh, this is a nitrous car. I have a big bottle pressure right on the middle, so the user can purge the nitrous before the run, but he still have battery. It's not a nitrous car anymore. Let me take the bottle pressure, and I want to see the G meter. Let me put a G meter. Now you can see a G meter for a drift guy or a road racing vehicle. You send to the ECU, boom, right there. Everything that we try to do, it's somewhat naturally coded, let me say. So colors or names, so it can be intuitive for the user. Oh, this color is my dashboard. All my dashboard setup is on my light green. The illumination, the backlight, shift light, the alarms, the side LEDs, password for the screen so nobody can change what I'm doing. Do I want to run boost based on bar, PSI, KPA? My temperature is Fahrenheit, is Celsius? Do I want to do AFR or Lambda? Like all those options are really easy to reach and change as you want. And the data logging, it's built in on the ECU. So like, let me change this share and let me do another one that's actually the data logger software. So the unit not just manage your vehicle, right? It's not just engine management now, like it can shift and it can manipulate power. So it's pretty much like a car controller right now. This is the same vehicle. This is the same tune-up, but going down the track on drag racing application. You guys can see how cool it is as a nitrous car that you don't short shift. Some people have that idea about short shifting. There's different approaches. You can or not. It's up to you. No short shift, and we're using timing. Look how quick timing goes up and down. And you can see the values over here. They go down to like -5 degrees because this nitro car run coil on plug. And we're using timing manipulation, not dropping hose, to manipulate the power. So the motor goes where we want to go. So the tire goes where we want to go. And then the car can perform like we want to do it. So this is pretty much that tune-up down the track. And it could be turbo. This is a clutch car on a turbo. One of my friends and partner, Carlos, he races a 10.5 tire car, clutch car with a 4-cylinder, crazy amount of boost. So like right here, it shows on bar. He likes to do bar, not PSI. So you can see 4 bars. We're talking to about over 60 pounds of boost on this small 4-cylinder. This is just like a quick glimpse of about how the data logger can be. Different groups, different colors. You can change stuff around. You have your EGTs here. You have our FT Spark module monitoring how is your ignition delivery on real time. You can see it was all nice and smooth down the track. If you have a missing, the FT Spark, our ignition module, will tell if it is regarding the unit, is the ignition device, is the spark plug. Like you have so much more data to analyze and really easy to reach that you can make your car progress quicker.
All right. Well, when you brought that up, we had somebody ask real quick, how do I switch my log view from lambda to
Yeah, lambda.
alcohol? Okay. To
Yeah, so
alcohol.
like
Okay.
lambda is like universal way to talk about O2 sensors, like oxygen sensors that go on the exhaust and try to measure how lean or how rich. So every fuel goes to stoic. So the right amount of fuel for the right amount of air at 1. That's the number. But AFR tells how many times air I need over how many times of fuel mass wise. So some people are used to AFR. For example, gas vehicle would run around 12 to 13 AFR, but it's going to run lambda around 85, 88. Alcohol motor would run 4 AFR, way different, like a third of the number from 12 to 4. But lambda wise will be about 78, 80 maybe. So it's not that far. So some people are used to lambda, some people are used to AFR. And let me go back then there and I can show some stuff. So on the FT manager, right, you can choose over here under options. So file, options, you can choose if your FT manager will follow your ECU value or if it's going to do whatever I want to see just on the manager. So I can have a client that run lambda on his car, but I'm used to AFR. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select AFR and I'm not going to follow ECU units. I'm going to follow the manager. So the FT manager will show me AFR even if the user, the customer is running lambda on his car. So pretty simple to do that.
Pretty smart to be able to do that.
Oh, that helps so much because again, we cannot force people to do what we think is right. So like it's the same way for the tuner, the driver, the engine builder. Sometimes when you're dealing, and mostly when we're dealing with international people, the engine builder is from Australia, the tuner is from United States. They may be used on different ways. One guy is used to PSI, the other guy is used to bar. How can we make it easier for those two guys to interact? So that's what we try to do there.
Yeah. Aaron Van Hale would like to know, what are the key performance factors that you feel differentiate FuelTech from other key competitors in the drag racing market? And I think you just showed some of it right there.
Yes, but like it's a good question because in the end, there is two things that I've seen over those years that make a huge difference. The product that you can rely on, and when I mean rely is the product will do what you want the product to do. Okay, because there are products out there, and I'm not going to mention because it doesn't make any sense on mentioning, but those products may randomly do something that you did not ask for. And that's a curveball on managing either power as a driver or power as a tuner, that it's so hard to catch that it may throw you on the loop that you cannot get away from, because the car did something and you always going to react for the car. So if the car did something, you're going to think, oh, I need more power here, or I need to take power away. But what if it did something on its own? And that can happen. Electronics can happen. We use computers every day. We use laptops and we use cell phones. Sometimes it gets you a blue screen. Sometimes it slows down. Sometimes a software doesn't go on again, you need to update or whatever. That's something that will happen to any kind of electronic. And that's something that we stay on top of ours. Our product will do what you asked for. So how reliable is the product to do what you asked for? It is a major thing. So that's something that we do carry proudly. The product do what you asked for. And number two, we always behind the product, either trying to teach how to use the product properly or to go over and solve some issue, because it will happen. It will happen. Nobody's perfect. But how you handle a problem will tell a bunch about you and how can you progress in the future. So if there's a problem that happened for any reason, it was a car that got into a crash, it was a manufacturing issue. It doesn't matter. We will stay behind and we will make it right somehow. We're gonna help that customer to go through that problem, that situation, and he will be able to keep performing. So it's not like, for example, sometimes a guy come to us and he called kind of sad already. Man, I went through a crash and I think the unit's not powering up again. And I just want to check, can you guys fix this for me? Or this is a brick and now I need to throw it out. They're like, no, send it in. Let's check. Let's see what we can do. Maybe something easy to fix, but we can do it, you know? So like, and that's something that means a lot, you know, like you can keep progressing no matter what happens.
All right, real quick, we only got a few minutes left here, but Rick Bailey was wondering, how long will the ECU hold the data logs after a run? And will it retain the data after power-ups and power shutoffs? And how are the files named?
Yeah, so like the ECU has a solid state driving side, so it does not require power. If you take power away, it will retain the log. The actually number of logs, I wouldn't say it's unlimited, but like it's pretty large. So like nobody's gonna have like hundreds and hundreds of logs on the unit. But like the time of the total amount of logs will change a bunch on how high is the rate that you're logging a channel and how many channels you have. So
Right.
It can go 3 minutes or 3 hours, depends on how much stuff you're trying to go through the data logging.
Well, Luis, all I can say is I have thoroughly enjoyed this time. Has flown by. And I think what you and Luis, Francis came up with along with Judy, and the innovations of ECU technology, the future for all forms of motorsports by FuelTech, I think you guys have hit it right on the head, because I think the future is bright. It's exciting. And I think the thing is that I'm also picking up, it's futuristic. I mean, you guys are already looking on what's coming down the pike, and you got more things each and every day that are going on. So well done, young man. Your company and everybody involved with FuelTech, you're making it happen. And I think that those who tuned in today, you need to tell your friends and your buddies and everything like that. You need to pull up the replay of this on ePartrate's library and watch it, because you've been outstanding. Thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And thank you guys for the opportunity. And I can say you this, like we're just getting started.
Absolutely. Now, what a fascinating webinar, Luis. You did a brilliant job. I'm delighted that we finally made it work. We tried earlier, couldn't, make it work in the calendar, which they are busy. They are busy, Jeff. So great job, everyone.
Registering on ePartrate is easy. Fill out your name, email, phone number, and create a secure password. Next, select your business type. Choose supplier if you're looking to display products or services and connect with buyers. Choose racing business if you're looking to find new parts and connect with suppliers. Choose race team if you own or are a member of a professional racing team. Begin typing your company name. We most likely already have your company in our database, which you can select from the drop-down. Then, enter your job title. Choose Claim Company if you'll be editing your company profile. Other members of your company can choose Join Company if they'd like to use ePartrate as well. You can view and agree to our terms of use here. If you'd like to receive our weekly newsletter, choose Accept. Click Register Now, and your registration will be submitted for approval. You'll need to confirm your email once it goes through. To keep our platform industry only, you'll be approved shortly after. If we require additional proof of business, we'll reach out. Welcome to ePartrade.